Okay, 203. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Ryan Hicks, for those of you who haven't met me yet. These two are my nephews, Grant and Dean. I told them to look angry and they didn't even ask me why. So that's our holiday photo there. I'm the director of outreach for Pozotron. I've been in the audiobook industry for 9 years as an editor and proofer. I moved to Pozotron about 3 months ago full time. And so my whole job is to listen to you, like everyone who's here on the webinar, everyone who contacts the company through social media or email. All I do is listen to you and translate what you want to the developers. So if you need to get a hold of me to get things accomplished, this is the communication line. I wanted to give a special thanks to Avon, Yadi, Jack, Bob, Aaron, Brendan, Chrissy, Stuart, Ralph, Steph, Amanda, Gail, Byron, Edison, Aubrey, many others. Every one of you that comes to me with challenges or talents, this is how we're making the product better. And so keep interacting with me and we'll keep making it better. So there are 7 big updates to talk about, and we'll go over these one by one. So everyone's probably noticed by now that there's a 4-button annotation system instead of 3. We added clarity with the typo and filter out buttons, and I'm going to go over that in kind of a live demo in a minute. If anybody has any questions about what those do, let me know and we'll make sure that we clear that up as we go along. We now have automatic narrator tags from file names. Everyone who's worked with a multi-narrator project, yes, the new button system is good. Everyone who has worked with multi-narrator projects in the past knows that it's kind of been an extra step to add the narrator 1 or narrator 2 or narrator 3 tag on. Now, if you have that in the file name, it will automatically go into the pickup packet, and I'll show you that. We have a pause indicator, and it soon will tell you the actual length of pauses between paragraphs and at the beginning and end of files. Yes, as of today, we have a subtitle export. I can't demo it for you, but the idea is if you have a YouTube video and you put the script and the audio into Pozotron, okay, so Amanda knows nothing. Well, we'll work with that. Subtitle export. If you have a YouTube video and you upload the script and your audio, you can export an SRT file that does automatic subtitle work when you import it back in. And we'll have a demo for that for you soon. Several people who know nothing. That's great. Filter out button, filter out time errors. I'm going to ask you more about that later, Ryan. So another big thing that's been asked for quite a while is pickup packet iPad compatibility. Until now, if you get a narrator pickup packet, which is an HTML file with MP3s, it works beautifully on your desktop. It doesn't translate directly to an iPad, which a lot of narrators use to do their pickups. What we're going to do is we're going to add like a hosting, like a hosted link. So you'll be able to click on a link and have iPads work exactly like a browser. And a new dashboard screen is coming in the next few weeks. We realize it got a little clunky, especially with people who had a lot of projects. So there will be a list format and a more detailed front screen that you see when you log on initially. Android. We'll find out about that. Pronunciation guide improvement. So we've had good steps to make it more usable, and now we want to turn it into, as soon as you hit the pronunciation guide key, what we show you, we don't want you to have to filter out. We want it to be almost 95% exactly what you would pick for a pronunciation guide, which would be, proper names, foreign phrases, so you don't have to go through 1,000 things. When we get our fix going through, we're manually retraining it. It'll be 100 that you almost guaranteed need to use. So that's coming soon as well. I will find out about the Android tablet for sure. So buttons, tags, and indicators. Let's roll over here. Any more questions so far before I go into what it looks like? So I have here our webinar demo packet. I'm going to show you the 4 buttons. So opening the proofing. So never was.
There was never such a one seen.
Turned into was never, and now you have 4 options. Okay, which is a minor error, no need to fix. Typo means that the narrator fixed it. Pickup is something that shows up on the report. And then filter out, not only is it not an error, you also want it to auto filter all similar references. So is everyone here kind of familiar with this homepage? Does everyone have an account? That's a whole lot of yeses. Okay. So if you want to see, yes, but have never used it. Richard, no, not yet. Okay, well, this is a good intro for you. So this is an example of when you might use the typo button.
That you don't have to keep clicking things.
So the word to is missing right there. And the narrator in this case fixed it by saying to. So in the past where you just have to ignore it or say it's okay, it's not actually okay, it's a typo. And now that's going to show up on a typo report that I show you in a minute. Same thing for here. Real quick, the typo does show in the proofing packet. We made a new tab for it.
Filter button. When you run into a word that has.
So there's another typo. When you run into a word, so a should be there, and I did fix that. So again, that's a typo. Yes, Emma says yay. So here's an example of how the filter out button works. I put this name in here, Lagzur.
Name Ragnar in a side.
But we're going to have it pronounced Ragnar. So you know that every time Pozotron thinks that this Lagzur is a pickup, it's not. So
name Ragnar.
That first chance right there, hit filter out, and you see they all disappeared. So whenever you have a sci-fi name or anything that has to get filtered out, not just through the chapter, but through the whole book, all you have to do is hit filter out, and then from then on it will hit auto filtered. If you made a mistake and don't need that filtered out, you just go back, unclick it, and they all come back. So that's a pretty big update as far as that works. Was that pretty clear? Yes, Jeff says it's magic. Sometimes you have to hit the auto filter out a few times because it'll have different versions of how you pronounce the word, but that's how it works, and just a few times hitting the auto filter out works for almost everything. Okay, the tags. So if you notice, all of these say narrator 1 by them. And how we did that before is when you made a pickup, you had to type narrator 1 in. You had to hit the 1 key, and it would put narrator 1 in there. And that's a little bit of a hassle. So what we have now is that if you put at narrator 1, at narrator 2 at the end of your file names, every time you hit a pickup in those chapters, it will automatically put the narrator tag in there for you. So with a little bit of planning, if you know who your narrators are, hit the @ sign with your file names, and you never have to put narrators in there again. And that should fix a lot of the extra time in clicking. Grab a word and auto tag them. Still sort of working on that. Doesn't work for timing errors. There's sort of a sliding scale, unless there are multiple narrators within a chapter. Yes, you can delete them one by one. So for example, if this was narrator 2, you'd just change it out. So it kind of depends on how you want to approach it. It's really flexible. Yeah, but it will save you a lot of time. Okay, all timing errors or specific errors. There's a global timing error function that the developers are working on right now. And it's going to have a sliding scale for beginning, middle, and end style of pauses. And we'll get into it a little later, but if you hold the Option key down, you see where it says comment pause right there? They're working on having it say comment pause and then the length of time it is. So you can double check if that's 1.5 seconds or 3 seconds, or so that's coming as well. Right, so here's that. So planning your output. When you do your exporting for a pickup packet, there's a few options that you should pay really close attention to. Relative to the start of each audio file, what that does is it gives you timestamps for the errors by chapter that you put in there. So if you're working with multiple narrators, if you're a narrator that works a chapter at a time more vertically than horizontally, it makes sense that you want the timestamps 20 seconds be, to the end of this file. Or if you're working on a whole project, there's another option that says relative to the start of the project. It's really important that you kind of have a plan of where you want your timestamps to be. And you can always do exports of each, but there is some confusion why timestamps are wrong, and it's often because you have to pick the right option here. There's a big difference in narration context if you pick several words, current sentence, or prior sentences. And not only is that the amount of context around words in the spreadsheet, it's also the length of MP3s in the pickup packet. So I have a couple things up here. So this is an example of a pickup packet where it wants prior sentences. And you see that the MP3 is 14 seconds long.
This audio is for demonstration purposes.
And there's the pickup toward the end. Some narrators said that they wanted a lot of context and a lot of lead-in time. So that's that extra sentence version, 14 seconds, 28 seconds. I mean, it really gives you some length before your pickup. But if you want shorter versions and you do the pickup packet for just a few words, you see the pickups are 3 seconds long.
And save you money and time in the process.
That's it. And so there were narrators and engineers that said, just give me the shortest amount possible because I want to lay out the MP3s and just record those words. So you can export as many times as you want, one with short, one with long, one with medium. But if you have a plan as to how your narrator, if you're a narrator, how you do your pickups, if you're an engineer, how you slide them in, experiment with those export options. MP3 timestamps. So when you export pickup packets, it gives you these folders of MP3s, and it will have everything in the file name, and it will have the timestamp. So if you ever need to know when an error was, it's baked right in there. So the better you are at naming files, the more info you have as far as the chapter titles and the narrators, and then you also have the timestamp included. Pronunciation guide. I know I'm cruising through all this stuff pretty good. Have I answered everything so far? Good. All right. So I'll show you what the spreadsheet looks like for those of you who haven't seen it yet. So this can be for the narrator or the engineer, and it gives you the project link, so you can always go straight to the project from there. And then we kind of designed this to emulate the classic spreadsheet version that you would do for QC. So your tags, your time, your notes, your page, your context. And again, you can change the amount of context around your pickup in those options. You also see at the bottom that there's tabs. So if you have multiple narrators, it automatically puts them into different tabs. So this is just narrator 1, just narrator 2, and the brand new typo report. So after you've said things are typos, it puts them over on this chapter report here. Typo found by narrator should be went instead of when. So this is a huge update, and we'll tighten down the details, but this is a great way to report back where narrators fixed typos and have timestamps and context around it. The pronunciation guide. Is it possible to get the correction number on the pickup packet HTML? Match the number on the proofing report. The correction number. I'll look into that. The timestamps always match up, so those numbers are always there, but I'll look into that matching. Okay. Typo language automatically populate. I think so, if I know what you're asking. No, we're trying to add your custom tags like Troy and Julie, and we're actually also trying to get it so that if you have a Pozotron account, it connects to your account as a narrator, so you have access from your account to your pickups. That's future related for sure. The pronunciation guide, for those of you who haven't seen it, looks like this. So when you're in your project window and you hit the pronunciation, it shows you a list of things that should possibly go on your pronunciation guide. And when you hit research, it puts it on a list of, I want this to be researched. So if you want Lagzur, even if it can't find it, it'll say, I want this on the exportable list. And then when you find words that are in here,
caressingly,
the pronunciation's right there. And you can either look at this online, so you can share your pronunciation page with people, or you can export it. And one of the things, like if it doesn't have Lagzur, you can, more stuff in the way, record your own. Ragnar, and then it keeps it with your pronunciation guide. So you have a phonetic guide that you can work with, your own recordings. You can share this page with anyone you want. I think there's like 6 different ways to pronounce WAN. Select all research. When we do our pronunciation guide update, we'll find out whatever you guys ask for, basically, is what we'll try to do. Does the research show the source of the pronunciation? So when you hit research, it looks for Oxford. Like you can see, it looked for Oxford right there. But if you also want to look in other places, for example, looking for acronyms in a different source, you can look at Merriam-Webster, Forvo, or Youglish. And when you click on those buttons, it takes you right to those pages.
And we really like acronyms.
So lots of power in the pronunciation guide, for sure. And what happens when you export it through, I can't see the button, it's somewhere. There's an export button up here, and it looks like this. So every word that you hit research by will show up on the word list, the page number, the count, either the Oxford IPA or the custom one that you put in, and those same Merriam-Webster, Forvo, and Youglish links are here. So impetuousness, Youglish, there it is. So would this work with only the manuscript uploaded? Unpack that question further. Yes, it's a prepping tool, and it's also free. If you have an account, if you never upload any audio, you can use the pronunciation guide as much as you like. As soon as you upload the script, it starts setting it up for you. Aha, yes. So FAQs and troubleshooting. There have been a few issues that have come up lately that I keep answering questions about. Every once in a while, a script doesn't process to the transcript very well. Sometimes it's an issue with fonts. Sometimes it's an issue with images or security features and things like that. Contact me as soon as you can if that's an issue. And what I end up trying to do is converting it into a JPEG and then back into a PDF and then running it through an OCR. And it usually turns into a usable script. And this is, it's annoying when it happens because as a narrator or a producer, if you're looking at the PDF, you don't know if it's going to translate because it looks fine on the screen. But we do have some workarounds if it doesn't show up quite right. Footnotes are always going to be a bit of a pain because sometimes you want to say the words from the footnotes up in the text. Other times you don't want the footnotes at all, and Pozotron thinks that you should be saying it. So if you have a footnote heavy project, contact us and we'll kind of help you figure it out. We've had a few more questions as more people are using the software about importing and exporting DAW markers. This is a huge time saver, but you kind of have to make sure that you have a little bit of a plan with it. So if you're going to do markers on your project and then import them into Pozotron later, try to make sure that your marker goes right on top of the pickup and that how you describe the pickup has the word in it that is the pickup. And Pozotron will actually think about what you're saying and try and merge it with things that it finds on its own. I will make a separate video to kind of show you what it looks like in process. And make sure that if you're going to do the importing and exporting of the DAW markers, you have the same files in the same order. If you're missing a credit file at the beginning, or there's an extra something in there, anything that the time sync moves, then it's kind of a pain trying to figure out where it went wrong. But yes, Bob is the king of DAW markers, and Edison figured out how to use them better for Studio One, and Stuart has figured out how to use them very well for Audacity. So there's a pretty good community of people that are troubleshooting how all of the markers going in and out work. And Jack, who I think is here, we did some troubleshooting and figured out how to make a twisted wave marker file from the Audacity one. So yes, that's definitely something that we're working on. So we have a new person joining the team. This is Adam. He will have a more formal introduction when he starts in January. And I kind of left the page blank because he's going to fill a spot that is more business oriented. So all of you can ask me questions and I will talk to Jake and the developers, and then we collectively are going to go to Adam, and Adam is going to take us from this level down here to this level up here. So he will be introducing himself to all of you eventually, and it's going to be a new era in the business side of Pozotron starting in a few weeks. Let's see, Amanda says, no idea what a DAW marker is and how the marker gets onto my file. Yes, it is fantastic news. Adam is going to be a huge addition to the team. So Amanda, email me afterwards and we will go over DAW markers for sure. That's kind of a whole lot of information for half an hour. Yes, so anyone can ask questions now. Anything that I went over too quickly or that you want more in-depth information on? Great info, yep. Navigation between chapters at the top. Okay, so yes, we'll put that in there again. You're welcome, Troy. The developers, last I looked at their queue, there was 165 things they're working on. Cancel or delete a file that's in the queue. Oh, there's Adam saying hi. Yes, so there's his short introduction. He's going to be the man of mystery until he introduces himself further. Let's see. Cancel or delete a file. I don't know that you can cancel it. If you put a wrong file in there, there's a way to trash your chapter to keep it out of your queue. I can show you, let's see, trashing chapters. Okay. So down at the bottom, if you scroll down to this project settings and click on it and go down further, you can trash chapters and say trash, and it doesn't actually delete them. It puts them down here in case you want them back. And then just let us know, because if it processes, it does go on your bill, but if you make a mistake, it's no big deal for us to fix that. So that's the canceling or deleting a file for Jennifer. Yep, I told Adam he didn't have to dress up because I wasn't putting him on video. Select all for research. That's a good idea. I'm going to suggest that. That should definitely be there. So, ton of projects, archiving them. The dashboard update that's coming this week or next, you'll have a different way of looking at your files, and there will also be an archive option with the same thing where you can archive it and then bring it back within a certain amount of time. Yeah, I've seen the ton of projects gets crazy. Archiving them is a good idea. How to pick up packets on the iPad. So they'll work the same way. You'll click a link on the iPad and it will basically take you to this page right here. So the index page. And there are also separate links for the separate narrators if you just want to send the link to one narrator. I'll have to look up the Android tablet thing as well for the pickup packets. Boy, I must have covered everything. Pricing structure. So the pricing structure as it is pretty stable. There's one little pocket of narrators who are full-time but don't hit the publisher level that still want the publisher features. So actually Adam and I are going to be looking into figuring out how to fix that last piece. And honestly, if people have suggestions for pricing structures, because we, want to make sure that narrators, engineers, production houses all get what they're looking for. We also have something coming up where if you want to run, if you have the publisher packet and you want to run through a second time after you've done your pickups, it'll be half price. So that's new pricing structure. After our editors have gone through and fixed everything they can, is there a way to get all the rest marked for the narrator? I'm not sure I know what you're asking on that one. Fixing with edits. Get all the rest marked. You might have to ask me that individually. Sometimes the narrator tag is missing. Yeah, with the new version, the narrator tag thing should largely be fixed. Oh. Yeah, the new way of doing things should help with that. I think I see what you're saying. And you can email me with a specific project to show me and I'll figure that out the rest of the way. So one thing I did last time, I think there's a few too many people to do it this time, but I kind of opened it up for everybody to talk about projects they were working on. If in the chat box you want to put something that you're doing or who you are, this is kind of the time to do it. We had Ralph here last time who was kind of shepherding people. Somebody I missed. When Pozotron misses a misread, nope, you don't have to say at Pozotron. I guess I didn't go over that. So when you're doing custom ones, so if Pozotron doesn't find something, like you hear a noise somewhere, like a noise behind one day he said to himself, you can click and drag and then hit the button and see it automatically put narrator 1 because of the file name, and you have noise, and that's it. And so that'll show up on your report as noise. No need to put at Pozotron. And there's a short key too. If you hit Option, as soon as you let go of the button, it automatically goes over there instead of having to click the bubble. I've never used the at Pozotron tag either, Trish. So I wonder if Jack's got something from before when I was on board. Access to this presentation, yep, there's going to be a link. And you can also contact me directly. Oh, I didn't know about that, Jack. So I'd say if it's a misread that we missed, like that's not a noise, but it's an actual Pozotron misread, then putting at Pozotron, that would help me search for it. Good call. Hey, Kadu's here. Describe and categorize noises. Okay. So that's come up a few times, and we had added extra hashtags for different types of noises. And what happened is it got confusing. And so when you started looking at the report, you had to figure out what things were. And if it just says noise, you kind of have to figure out what the noise is. We went back and forth on that, but we tried to simplify instead of having further descriptions. Your rights holder does not need to have a subscription to get the typo reports. Nope. Oh, Trish, we're still working on that, the global thing. Yep. There's no way to look to the future yet. Right. If you haven't seen our explainer video, our animated explainer video, if you go to pozotron.com, that's at the top of the page. I think. So the subtitle thing kind of came from a request. We are starting to branch out, and we have a few clients that do VO work with YouTube stuff. So they were the ones that asked for the subtitles. So we're definitely trying to, when people ask for things, we're trying to give it to them. And Jake was on that and had that kind of export function within days. Thank you, Jack, for working on the twisted wave thing with me. That was super helpful. We haven't figured out the last pickup thing. The one part about the twisted wave thing, it decides it doesn't want to see the last one in the list. Yes, Jeff is a huge proponent of the positron, and he was an early person who's like, I don't want this. I don't want this anywhere near us. And he has gradually come around. The designations, that's on the proofers list. When you share a project currently, it says proofer or narrator, and the responsibilities, I think, are backwards currently. So we're fixing that. That's on the 160 thing list. All right. I hope everyone has a great day and learned some stuff from the webinar. There are more updates coming, so I think this is a good chance to kind of interact, at least through the text. I will send more invites probably after the holidays. So happy holidays, everyone. Stay warm and dry wherever you're at. I'm going to avoid the snow and go check on my cat. And thanks for all being here.